In this lecture, we will study the various pattern tools, including the rectangular patterns, single, dual, and symmetric, the circular pattern, and the mirror tool. So in Fusion, I've done some sketches to help me demonstrate these. Now, first of all, we're going to start with the rectangular pattern on a single axis. So right here, I've got a rectangle with a circle. And let's say, for example, we want to pattern this circle alongside this axis here. So let's come under our creation tools. Let's come under rectangular pattern. Our toolbox pops up. We need to identify the object to pattern. In this case, I'm going to choose the circle. And then we have a lot more tools available. So first of all, we need to define a direction or directions. So for now, we'll focus on single axis. So I'm just going to select one axis. Now here we can choose any pre-existing geometry. For example, I could select this line here if I wanted to pattern in this direction, or the vertical line here in the vertical direction, and I can choose construction lines as well. So in this case, I'm going to select this line here. And then I've got the option to change between the distribution type. So I've got extent and spacing. I'm going to stick with extent for now, and I'll show you spacing a bit later. Moving down to the boxes, we have quantity here. So I'm going to select, I want to have a total of 4 of these circles. And in terms of their distance, now this relates to distribution. So the extent of my pattern, in this case, I've calculated it to be 250 mil. And as we can see now, we have the original circle, the second circle, third, and the fourth. So 4 circles total, and the extent distance is 250 mil. That is the distance from the center point of this circle up into the center point of this circle here. And next up, we've got the direction. So I'm just patterning in one direction here, but we can also pattern symmetrically, which would lead to more circles appearing on this side, which we don't want. And I will demonstrate an example of where symmetric patterning is useful later. And then you'll see we've got another quantity, distance, and direction. So these 3 here only relate to a second axis. Okay, so we've only selected one direction. So essentially, we don't need those 3 for this particular example. I'm quite happy with my 4 circles at 250 mil extent. And then if I press OK, we can then see those circles now form. And we can edit these anytime by double left clicking on this symbol here, which is the rectangular pattern symbol. So if I double left click, you can see our toolbox pops up again, and we can make any according changes from there. Now, one useful tool within this is suppression. So if I tick this box, we can then see that we have these checkboxes appear in the patterned circles. And then if I select this one here, for example, and let's go for this one as well, and press OK, we can then see that those instances of our pattern are now suppressed. If I press Ctrl Z on the keyboard, bring them back, double left click on this symbol, and then we've got our toolbox available again. Another way to do this as well, so I'm going to hit Ctrl Z. I'm going to come up to create rectangular pattern, select my object. Now in terms of direction, so we've talked about selecting individual entities, but in this case, what we can also do is use the arrows. This is a really sort of useful, handy, quick tool that we can use. So in this case, I'm patterning a quantity of 3, but if I go for 4, and then we can adjust the arrow accordingly as to where we want them. So if I click OK there, looking good. Let's move on now to the rectangular pattern dual axis. I'm going to use this sketch to help me show this. Let's come up to our creation tools again, go on rectangular pattern. Again, we're going to select our object, in this case this circle, and under direction or directions, click select, and now we're going to select 2 directions. Let's go for this horizontal line and this vertical line. So we're going to pattern in this direction and also vertically as well. And for this, I'm going to drag my toolbox down, although you can use the scroll bar on the side if you need. Let's keep the distribution as extent and go for quantity of 4. Then distance, let's go for the same 250. So we're patterning like we did for the single axis. And then under the quantity, distance, and direction, this is for the vertical. So let's go for a quantity of 3. And I've already pre-calculated this as a distance of 100. And that's an extent reference distance. And then we can see we've patterned in both axes. And if we click OK, that's looking good. And then again, double click. In this case, yeah, we want to suppress anyone. Let's say we want to suppress these 2. Let's go for 3, press OK. And then we've removed those instances and we can put them back. So again, go under suppression. We can just left click to bring them back. Press OK like so. and that is the rectangular pattern for dual axis. Let's now move on to symmetric patterning. I'm going to use this sketch up here to help me. Let's say that we want this circle to be patterned in both directions horizontally and vertically. Let's come under Create, let's choose our rectangular pattern tool, under Object, select the circle, and under Direction, let's click on this horizontal line and this vertical line, keep the distribution as extent, and then under Quantity, let's stick with 3, and I'll do a distance here, so this is pre-calculated 100, and then I'm going to change the direction of this. So right now, the distance between this center point and this center point is 100 mil, and I've got my 3 circles there. If I change the direction to symmetric, you can then see I've got my 3 circles, and they are both patterned by 100 mil. So center point to center point, 100 mil, and center point to this center point, 100 mil. And I'm going to repeat that for the other direction as well, which is the vertical. Keep the quantity 3, and then I'm going to input a distance here of 50 mil. And again, I'm going to change that direction to symmetric. So patterning symmetrically, both above and below. Click OK. And that's a case of where the symmetric pattern can be very useful. So now we've covered the rectangular pattern tool. Let's now move on to the circular pattern tool. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to use this sketch down here. Let's say in this case we wanted this circle to be patterned around this axis here. Come under the Create tools, select Circular Pattern. Very simply, just like the rectangular tool, we select our object. So I'm going to drag around this circle here. And then in terms of the center point, I'm going to select the center point of this circle here. Click this one. I'm going to input a quantity there. Let's go for 8. And then we've got different options for distribution. So full distribution is essentially patting around 360 degrees. We could change that to partial distribution. So in this case, we're patterning over 180 degrees. We could change that to, say, 225 and so forth. We've then got the option to symmetric pattern. So if I go to symmetric and I'll type in, let's say 180, and we'll go for a quantity of 5. We can then see that this is our original circle and we're patterning symmetrically. So I've got an additional 2 circles on this side, so counterclockwise, and then clockwise 2 circles on this side over 180 degrees. And again, we can change that. If we go to 270 like so, or if I change that to 90, they can all be sort of bunched up together like that. If I put that back on full, and let's go for a quantity of 8. And again, just to show you the same suppression ability is available by clicking here. And then we can just left click on any instances that we don't want to have. Click OK. And again, if we want to edit any of this, we can double left click on the circular pattern tool, and then make any changes from there. So I go in my suppression, take these back, press OK. And that is the circular pattern tool. So a very simple tool to use. And the last tool I want to show you is the mirror tool. So that's the tool just up here. And we can also find that under the creation tools, just above circular pattern here. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to be using this sketch here. Let's say in this case that we had these 2 circles here and we wanted to mirror them over to this side. You see I've got this construction line that's in the center, and that's snapped onto the midpoint of this horizontal line and the midpoint of this horizontal line. Let's go ahead and use the mirror tool. With our toolbox, we need to select our objects. In this case, I'll choose 1 and 2. And then under mirror line, click select. And in this case, I'm going to choose the mirror line here, my pre-drawn construction line. And we see the 2 previews appear on the other side. And if I click OK, we've then mirrored across those circles. So a really straightforward tool to use, and really good for efficient sketching. And so that is a summary of the pattern tools. So we've done the rectangular patterns, looking at single axis, dual axis, and also symmetric. We've covered the circular pattern tool, and we've also covered the mirror tool as well. These tools are really handy when it comes to sketching and can be used fairly regularly depending on what we're working with, and we'll be for sure using these throughout the remainder of this course. So I'll see you in the next lecture.